All right guys, the Formula Drift season is approaching, and although there's a few weeks leading up to Long Beach, it's actually getting closer than it seems for us because we have the World Tour coming up in 2 weeks. We're basically gonna have like a day to turn around the trailer when it gets back from World Tour to head out to Long Beach with the E36. So what I wanna do is kind of go over with you guys a little bit of the different approach we're taking to this year. Since we're intending to do a full season with this car, we now know it's a capable Formula Drift car versus last year with the other E36, we kind of went into it like, we'll bring what we got. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll just go home. We learned a lot, and I'll share with you guys some of the changes we're making. We've kind of been sprinkling some of the changes in previous videos, but in case you missed it, one of the changes was redoing the rear crash structure. It was a little bit too far out, so Owen's basically gone, chopped it, moved it closer. The idea in drifting is you want to be able to kind of get into the wall without it upsetting the movement of the car. So that's one decently sized change. The big change that we've shown you guys already was the radium fuel cell. We've been rolling with the stock fuel tank, which has worked, and I like the fact that, you know, it's a cheap way to keep the center of gravity low. But in the event you need to service something, it's a little bit more challenging, and these radium in-tank surge tanks are gangster, and there's a reason why they're pretty much used by everyone in grid. Bodywork is literally the same as last year. We use like a double over fender just because on these quarter panels that are kind of like rear caps, I'm not a huge fan of the fenders, so we use these fenders on top of those fenders just to make it look a little bit more like a stock car. I really liked how last year the E36 still like has the feel of a street car to a certain extent and doesn't look like some crazy wide, I don't want to say drift car, but like, I don't know, I really liked how it looked last year, so we're not doing like any huge changes. Now the angle kit on this car is something that came up pretty frequently both in videos and on social media, and this year we are going to be going back to FDF. This is now version 3 of what I'm working to develop to be my signature angle kit. I gotta give a massive shout out to Josiah for being patient with me and working through all these changes and stuff that I want to do. I just really want to make sure that we get this kit feeling exactly how I want before we bring it to market. I'm 99% confident that this is going to be the secret sauce. We still got to test it once we get the car back together. And just to be clear, the reason why we're developing like an LZ specific kit is because what I ask of my car is not always what the general public wants, but there are a lot of people that reach out to us over at Drift HQ that want to set up their cars the same way to try to achieve similar things that I'm able to achieve with my car. So we figured it'd be a cool way to kind of offer a package that gives you the similar feel to what I like to drive with. Now I mentioned in the teardown video that I didn't even realize we were running wiring specialties harness last year. We run them in like all the street cars and a lot of the drift car builds, but the pro stuff usually will get some fancy $10,000 harness. However, the wiring specialties harness worked great for us last year, and we were able to work with them to custom modify a couple sensors just to clean up the harness a bit from stuff that we don't use. Also add a couple sensors. So this year we're actually going in with 2 full wiring specialties harnesses. So if we have any issues, any fires, anything that could potentially happen, we get a backup harness, which is a luxury that not many teams have. And one other reason why we wanted to do a new harness this year is because we are moving to the latest and greatest Link ECU, the G5 Voodoo Pro. This thing's a bad with some serious power and capabilities. I'm pretty excited we can actually connect to it with Wi-Fi, and there's a lot of new exciting features that we're gonna get to learn and experiment with, which will take you guys along for the ride as we go through the tuning process and the first testing. But it's a beautiful unit, feels real good in the hand. And this is a good time to remind you guys that over on Drift HQ, we are running a sale on Link products right now, 11% off. If you guys are looking to get something Link, you know that they rarely go on sale, and it's gonna save you some serious coins. So head over to Drift HQ and take available of the sale while it's still live. Did that noise trigger you? Well, chances are you guys are going to like and appreciate the sponsor of today's video, Carly. The check engine light or limp mode got you down? Well, this fancy little device from Carly plugs right into your OBD2 slot and allows you to access a plethora of information from their app. All right, so let's check out the diagnostics on this thing. Check for issues. Oh my goodness, we've got 24 issues found, and we are classified in very bad condition. Now from here we got 2 options. If you're just trying to get your car out of limp mode or clear the codes for whatever reason, we can clear the issues. Or they have a very cool feature called Smart Mechanic, where we can click an issue and it will give a breakdown of what the codes mean, as well as a community feature to see what other people did to fix a problem. And if you click their Smart Mechanic, it actually takes you to a page that will walk you through what could be going on and what to do to fix the issue. Now, if that isn't enough to convince you to keep one of these in your glove box, it also has a pretty cool coding feature that will allow you to custom program a lot of features that you can't change on your car, whether it's comfort features, lighting things. It's really popular in the BMW community, and you can do it all from this little device. I don't go anywhere without one of these in my glove box, and if you guys want to pick one up, they actually gave me a code to share with you guys that's going to get you 15% off, and it's on the screen right here, as well as linked in the description below. And of course, I want to give a massive thank you to Carly for sponsoring this video. I know this is where it starts getting good. We actually actually had a very successful engine program last year. We made some of the most power on grid. We were one of the fastest cars on track, and we could just leave everything the same, but we wanted to take what we learned after disassembling the last engine, in addition to continuing to want to raise the bar. And as we mentioned before, we worked with Jay Meager of RS Garage to build our new long block for this year, which is what you see right here. So I'll go through some of the stuff that's new with this. Starting from the top down, we are back on the BC 272 cams. These are pretty much our go-to cams for a lot of different applications. We've had really good luck with them. They work well with all the other components that we use, which is a full BC valve train in this head, springs, retainers, valves. I'm very thankful that I was able to get Bill from Extreme to do another JZ head for me. If you don't remember Bill, he's the guy from my Porsche video. He does air-cooled heads, and he is like the leader in the air-cooled market, but his JZ heads are also next level too. And if you don't take my word for it, Jay Meager, who has built probably hundreds of JZs at this point, maybe even thousands, I don't know. Jay was like extremely impressed with this head. He obviously sees heads from all different machine shops, and the level of work that Bill and his team does is like next to none. It's the same CNC porting that we use on the heads from previous years. We know that it works well with a 3.4 bottom end. Of course, yet again, Brian Crowder, Run BC 3.4 liter stroker, 10-to-1 pistons. We use BC's lightweight 3.4 crank, which saves about 8 pounds. It's always better to have less rotating mass. And on that subject, we actually made the switch to titanium rods from Run BC this year, which I'm super excited about. The main thing is taking that rotational weight away is going to put less load on the bearings. And when you have a 3.4, you start to get in danger territory as you rev it higher and higher and higher. We had really good wear last year, but it should be even better now. We got the same strength with an engine that should rev a little bit snappier now and put less wear on things. As you guys saw in the video we made with Jay tearing down our last motor, he's super meticulous and has so much knowledge that he's built over the years to share. And he does plan on releasing a video where he goes into more detail of this engine, as well as some really good tips for you guys when it comes to first start and breaking in a fresh engine. That'll probably be up in the next week or two over on Jay's channel, which I'll link in the description. This thing's beautiful. Look at it. I mean, even this is new too. We did threaded freeze plugs this year, so they can't pop out. That happened to me once before on the Barra.
I remember that at the dyno.
Yep. It happens, you know? Technically though, does that mean my engine could freeze and the freeze plug wouldn't pop out? All right, so we gotta make sure to put coolant in it when we go to, do we go anywhere that it's cold enough to freeze? Probably not during race season. Yeah, maybe for transport. That has actually happened to an FD car before, and they were not stoked. All right, one other thing that I am very excited to share with you guys is that Freddie is officially on our team as our crew chief this year. I would definitely attribute our engine program success largely to Freddie last year. The amount of time that we spent here at the compound dialing things in and looking after it to make sure it was good all season was huge, and I'm very appreciative of that. I was technically the crew chief of my team last year, which was a very dumb decision just from the sense of also having to drive and try to stay on top of everything. Luckily, I have great guys on my team, so they're able to keep everything together, but having someone with Freddie's level of knowledge, both as an engine guy, a tuning guy, and a really good knowledge of suspension gives me a lot of peace of mind, so I'm stoked that you're gonna be with us.
Same.
Oh, you know, nice relaxing Monday, getting my splitter all up on there. I gotta admit, it's been a while since I've done the ABS splitter game. And this is actually a custom made one that came on the yellow S15 that I sold to Jimmy. It's actually pretty cool. A company in Australia makes it, and it's got a lot of adjustability to kind of fine tune your splitter angle and all that. So yeah, neat little thing. It said V2/3 on the kit.
I don't know anything.
On the box. There's a little bit of chaos going on. You missed a beautiful clip. Sean was bumping some of the hardest music I've ever heard in my whole life. And yeah, anyway, we're going back to Wise Rub on the rear of the S15. Fun fact about this car, we actually ran a stock style knuckle when we had the 315 on it because the car was so high that it actually had the correct geometry with a standard knuckle, where a drop knuckle allows you to have good geometry when the car's low. We had to be so high because of the freaking big tire. And then when we lowered it with this, we lost some of the grip, so now we're going back to the wide strap setup, which will give us a better toe curve and more traction. Time to finish the job. Donnie just walked by, complimented me on my cut. He's done a few of these, so that's, you know, a dude that's cut a couple bell housing can respect a nice cut. Look at that, dude. Can you transition me into the lion somehow? Like, I can't remember if I explained to you guys what this Blue Z has been doing in the background, and I saw a lot of comments asking about it, so here's the deal. There's a guy by the name of Noah. He's actually the one that purchased the Safari GTR. I'm stoked because that car went to a really good home, and he's been super happy with it, and he's been wanting to get into drifting, had been reaching out, asking a bunch of questions. I told him, I was like, yo, rather than building an S13 from the ground up, if you want to get into drifting and you just want to enjoy driving, the 350Z is the move. So he needed a car, he needed the parts. I happen to have one of these laying around that was kind of stashed for a future build. And I kind of felt bad because I didn't get to show him around the compound when he purchased the Safari GTR. So I said, look, I'll build a car for you. This isn't something we normally do, but this is technically the first ever build we've ever done for a subscriber. We didn't necessarily build this fast per se, but a lot of the stuff done on this car could probably be done in maybe like 2-3 days max. It was just kind of something that we would do in between other builds. Owen pretty much did this mostly himself. But since I haven't made Z content in a while, I know a lot of you guys drive Zs since I push them so heavily as the best starter drift car. So I'll give you a quick rundown on this setup. This is not only what I recommend, this is what we recommend to everyone that reaches out to Drift HQ. So if stage one is like a simple Z with a welded diff, coilovers, and a mild angle kit, this would be like stage two. Those mods plus a lot of supporting things so you don't break down on the track. Under the hood, I'd say the biggest thing you don't actually see, and that's that this engine had the oil galley gasket done. They tend to have the biggest Achilles heel of losing oil pressure just from the seal that blows out in the front. I'll see if I can put a photo of it up on the screen, but that was the most laborious thing. Outside of that, cold air intake, aftermarket radiator, stock ones can crack sometimes, oil cooler, power steering cooler, and our special spec BCDS coilovers. Now, when people are getting into drifting, I always advise them to start without an angle kit. On some chassis like the E36, you can get away with a decent amount of angle just from tie rod spacers. On the Zs, GK Tech makes what's called their mini kit. You probably can't even see it in there because it literally looks like a full stock setup, but it essentially moves the tie rod pickup point. It gives you a little bit of extra angle. I mean, it's a decent amount, I should say, but it still has that stock feel, so it's not like you're putting on some crazy angle kit that, in my opinion, can actually prohibit you from learning good driving techniques because you rely on the angle as a crutch. Some sweet Kansai wheels. They're 18, 9.5 plus 10 all around with a 235 up front and a 265 in the rear. It sounds like it would be too much tire for a stock Z, but the 265 is like the biggest bang for your buck. So I always advise run a little bit higher pressure on a 265 versus lower pressure on a 235. Plus you get a little more sidewall and you have less like kind of rollover because it's a little bit more flush with a 9.5 wheel. 10.5s you could do, you get a little more roll and look cool, but it's more rotating weight, so if you're a nerd, you probably don't want that. Just a single rear caliper, inline handbrake. There's no need to overcomplicate things. Save money, save weight. This is pretty cool. I haven't had this on my car, but it sounds pretty neat. I'll show you. It's a ISR's carbon tip exhaust with Y-pipe, and I think this car might even have headers. No, I don't think this car has headers. Yeah, I don't remember. I've had this car for a long time. Interior is actually really similar to my Z. Still full interior, no like crazy deleted door panels or anything like that. Some nice bucket seats. Noah wanted some belts, so that's what we got. Got the sweet LZ harnesses. This handbrake is really cool. Henko makes it designed to basically fit right in this area so you can have a clean handbrake, kind of like I used to do back in the day, but it would take me way longer because it wasn't designed to go there. So this is their 350Z kit. We did a Clutch Masters clutch in it. Not necessary on a lot of Zs, but again, like I wanted to build this car so Noah could just go and have fun and not run into a scenario where his clutch starts slipping and then, okay, now it's got to go to some random shop that's gonna him and charge him $1 million. We pretty much did this car at our cost as a shop, and it's obviously not sustainable to do things that way, but we wanted to help out. We had some downtime in the off season, and I'm stoked because he's going to be doing his very first actual drifting here, to my knowledge. I don't think he's driven before. I think he's played on a sim a bit, but I told him I'll give him some pointers in the parking lot, and you guys can kind of see what it's like for someone that is getting in my opinion, one of the best starter drift cars for the first time and what their experience is kind of like. Also, another key part too, there's no problem with like a DE or an up rev Z compared to an HR. I just always push on the HR because of the fact that they're a bit more reliable, they don't burn oil. The DEs and the up revs burn oil a lot, and they're really hard to check the oil, so a lot of people end up blowing them up for that reason. So if you don't have HR money, don't worry, just make sure to keep oil in your car and it should treat you right. Two other things I wanted to mention that are kind of boring but important if you're building a Z. Rear arms, that way you could dial in the right alignment. We do convert to true coilover, so then you need to change all the arms around. And the FDF diff brace, which is really important. These diffs move around a lot in these cars, especially once you start clutch gearing. All right, guys, meet Noah.
Hi.
You ready for your first compound drift lap? You haven't done a lap here, right?
No.
Because you were here in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was I think like 2 o'clock in the morning. I had a delayed flight. I'm just glad Sean was willing to stay up for me.
Well, now you get to experience a ride in your first drift car, and then we'll get you dialed in, get you doing some figure eights, and get you comfortable in this thing. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
I built your car how I would build it.
I trusted you. I had 100% faith.
Right by Sean. What'd you think?
That's awesome.
It's a good car. Oh, I opened my door. So we'll do another, and then I gotta let everyone leave because everyone's work day's over.
Okay.
And then we'll get you in the seat. Now, I know you already know how to do donuts since I've heard you. What are you doing in Safari GTR? You said you're doing donuts in the parking lot.
The snow is easier.
Well,
I don't know how to use a handbrake at all.
So, no, but that's good.
Okay.
So, like, I'll just have you start just using the throttle, and I just want to see, like, our baseline of where we're at, and then I'll teach you from there.
Okay, because, yeah, but snow is easy. Snow's the easiest, like, trick there is. So, start in a small circle.
You're starting first, then just kind of keep it in the, like, center of the skid pad.
So just gas it?
Yep. All right, good start. So now what I'm gonna need you to do, once you get the donut started next time, kind of back off the throttle a little bit once you feel brake traction, and find that sweet spot in the steering wheel.
Okay.
You basically did like a super tight donut. Now to work your way a little wider, it's literally as simple as just like moving where you're looking. So we'll do the same thing again, but like instead of just looking at one spot in the center of the ground, now kind of like move your sight around, and that'll start bringing you in bigger circles.
Okay.
Just when you feel like you're gonna lift, don't stay in it. I'll yell at you.
Okay.
pretty wide donuts too. So that's drifting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was great. It's just a matter of finding that sweet spot and that balance. And like your body, like I didn't even tell you what to do, but you're naturally, you're starting to do the correct turns to like balance the car.
Yeah, that's so,
yeah. That's all it is. And then you just keep doing that, you'll get more and more comfortable, and then eventually I'll teach you how to transition, and then you'll start doing figure eights. The next thing you know, you're doing backwards entries, 360s, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. You don't have a sim, do you?
I do.
Okay.
I actually bought it from Sim HQ. This
oh,
is
hell
like,
yeah.
I'm being 100% serious, and I don't want to say anything, like I don't.
No, I mean, that's cool.
I haven't used it yet, because I wanted to take your
Oh,
tip.
you haven't used it?
No, I wanted to take.
You should have used it.
I wanted to take
you. So good in real life.
I wanted to take your tips first, because I was like, what if I'm doing things wrong, and it just works because of like the car I was using, like, so I was like, let me go here, take what I learned, and then put it into the sim, and then when I actually drive the car at like events or on a skid pad or whatever, then I can do it.
The funny thing is, it's actually the other way around. So it would have been easier if you learned on the sim and came here, and you would have just this whole place up. Versus like people that drive in real life that then go onto a sim struggle because on sims you don't have the feedback of feeling what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like,
no, it's fine. But
I wanted to take your advice,
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, we'll keep going. We'll keep pushing. Mike is gonna be heading out soon, so I'm gonna stop the video here. But if you guys want to follow Noah, I'm sure he'll be posting his drifting journey and be doing 360s and backwards entries in no time.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna see a smashed up car?
No. Can you transition me into the lion somehow? Like, so don't include this part of the video, but like as I'm like, can you just like slowly pitch change until it's like, oh, I'm gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll try.